After a very rocky start here in Kiev, Zalae is back in it. He has to play StanCifka again, though, even though he was the one to knock him down to the lower bracket in the first place. But I got Nyria down on the floor with me to unpack the situation just a little bit. I mean, being a pro player, you know these situations better than anyone. How hard is it actually going to be for Zalae after this grueling day to bounce back and play against the person who knocked him down to the lower bracket?
I think if you think that your lineup is favored and you lose against the lineup kind of that you think isn't favored against you, it's kind of puts your thoughts into your head that it might be not a favorable matchup. So you'll take it as a 50-50. I don't think Zalae is the player who will take it too deep to his mind that he will like be crushed even before the match. So that's why I voted for him again.
Yeah, and as you can see, it's pretty much 50-50 with all the pros who are here right now when they actually went in and voted. Even though Zalae actually lost to StanCifka today, 50-50 voting for him. I mean, when we actually just look at the lineup right now, what do you think? Do you think Zalae is favored?
I think he's slightly favored, but it will come down to like the matchups. Will he get good matchups or not? So Q order matters in Conquest, El Giggle.
We're going to have to see if that Q order does go in his favor, though. But we're going to kick off the last match of the day and throw it up to our casters.
To be honest, I didn't really listen that much to the interview because I was just watching the feeding bat.
Yeah, I was taking a little look too. Seemed he had some great chicken after 2 castings in a row. Definitely can imagine that.
I think he had like a shish kebab or something like that. So, we have insane catering here. Very tasty.
It's definitely great, yeah, in between the cast.
Alright, but the next match is actually an elimination match for both of those players. Zalae and StanCifka will be playing against each other, and one of them advances, the other one finishes up the adventure here.
Yeah, and they have been already facing each other. We actually have been casting that one together too, I think.
Yeah.
Where StanCifka actually won 4-0 that series, but was a little faster than we expected. Also, lineup-wise, it's a really close series, so was definitely going really fast in StanCifka's favor, and I'm looking forward if we can see that again, or if Zalae is gonna get this one on the board.
It's also very interesting to see when it's a rematch, when Zalae said in the first interview that he was kind of caught off guard by the ban, because he didn't anticipate the druid getting banned, right? So I wonder if he's gonna change his own decision what to ban, because last time I think both druids were banned.
Yes.
So let's see how this time it will pair it up. But Zalae has to be coming, like, you know, kind of as a, well, he might be just underwhelmed a little bit, overwhelmed, sorry, and a little bit because of the first match, right? 4-0 is nothing to scoff on. I mean, that was a very commanding win by StanCifka, and it feels like his lineup is just superior, right?
Yeah, I took a little look at the lineups, but I still think that for Zalae, the lineup is just kind of alright. He's targeting some of the decks from StanCifka, especially the Warrior well.
Okay.
Last time we saw the Warrior getting out directly in the first game.
That was
But was really crucial for the whole series, and it's not going to be that easy for Cifka to do that again.
Okay, now we'll have a short interview with the players.
StarLadder I-League StarSeries Season 3 finalist, StanCifka.
Oh, okay, no interviews, just StanCifka eating. I think that's like a common theme here. We had the Firebat eating, now we have StanCifka eating.
Went for the apple again, though. Like, there are so many fruit choices, but again, going for the apple, not paying off last series. Wonder how that is going to fit in a continuous strategy here. He might just like the apple. Pretty likely too.
To be honest, I thought he's a banana guy, but okay.
StarLadder I-League StarSeries Season 3 finalist, Zalae.
Zalae is ready for this one.
Okay, if someone doesn't make gifts out of this, you know, use as a sub notification on the stream or something like that, or even, you know, just memes, that would be a huge waste. So please, Reddit, do your thing, and Twitch chat.
Yeah,
those are some really like, you know, golden nuggets here.
Definitely some great phases for us. I now also want to see how it's gonna turn out though for him here in the games.
Well, I wouldn't like to see a second 4-0. I just
No.
would like to see an interesting match, you know. And we have, so far, the beginning is the same. 2 druids are getting banned.
Both druids are again getting banned. For Zalae, that means his J druid is getting banned. For StanCifka, it means the aggressive druid is being banned. And we have a lot of similar classes, but a lot of different archetypes. With the Shamans being a more aggressive Shaman for Cifka and being a really control for Zalae. Kind of the same with the Mage, where Cifka is taking a more freeze Mage approach against the Medivh Mage. Even him also still running on Medivh. It's way more tempo-based, Doomsayer, Nova in it. And both Taunt Warriors... Or did Cifka had Taunt Warrior. Zalae not running a Taunt Warrior. Cifka having a little different issue with the Taunt Warrior before in the last series, one of the decks he had problems with. And it's not going to be easy to get out against Zalae either.
Yeah. Well, this time the first classes are way different than the previous match. Zalae, something that we see in this tournament are those relying blades being picked up by most of the Paladins, actually, when you think about it.
It has been a lot of turning around, a lot of people picking up the blade now over and True Silver. Seeing double blade over double True Silver is something we haven't seen that much around, but it has been just a mana efficiency. The Murlocs are kind of aggressive. You want to defend your Murlocs. You can also not fall behind, so sometimes killing off that mana run 1 turn earlier is just what the Murloc wants to do.
And you can just defend the Murlocs, right, by having a second swing a turn before the True Silver Champion. Because the True Silver Champion, it's also very important to have the Gentle Megazord on curve sometimes, instead of, you know, just battling for the same spot with the True Silver Champion. And the same goes for the Blessing of Kings.
Yep. But I definitely think this is a perfect example why people are playing the Blade nowadays. That it just kills off there are a lot of 3 HP minions around. It just kills off everything 1 turn earlier. You don't have to play Murlocs into mana runs.
Yep. So maybe Paladin should get a 2 mana 3/2 weapon that should be named Fury Light Axe.
You see, for 3 mana, people already like to play the Blade, the Eagle Horn bows. We see Stormwood Axes, 2 mana, 2/3 weapons. Like, it says a lot about War Axe too, how strong of a card is.
It's actually pretty insane when you think about it. What other classes have to do to have the same value. Alright, the secret first to see if it's worth killing the Arcanologist.
It's definitely worth to make the trade here, and it's also a great counterspell. Cifka is not playing with is not playing with Ice Barrier, and is playing with a counterspell. So getting a secret going, directly testing counterspell with it too is pretty amazing. With maybe possible the Blessing of Kings later.
Yeah, exactly. Good point. In this case, Getaway Kodo allows Zalae to have a play next turn, even though it was kind of lacking if he would just die without any kind of replay, right? You don't want to play the Wall Eater just on an empty board. It dies to the ping with the Valet. The Hunter, the Rockpool Hunter, is actually not that big of a deal, but if you can pair it up on turn 4 with the second Hydrologist, that's actually insane. Your opponent will still have to sacrifice a lot of tempo.
It's a great card to get back in your hand, Hydrolist. Like, Getaway Kodo is great, but sometimes it just becomes way too mana expensive when it hits the big cards, and Hydrolist keeping going, always hard to sometimes also play around all the secrets and not give Paladin the value. And here's some interesting pickups for Cifka. Already has to make the decision, do I need additional burn, do I need some removal? It's kind of hard. I mean, his hand is definitely not wanting to pick Pyro maybe, but...
Yeah, the Arcane Explosion is definitely a no-go because it doesn't kill like anything important. It just kills the hero power 1/1s and basically that's it. And what he needs to face is a solution to a board that has multiple Murlocs at the same time, and currently only has Flame Strike to deal with that. If he manages to kill just one wave, there still might be a second one for him waiting, so that Meteor is basically better in the early game than late game, while Flame Strike gains more value late game. So I can definitely understand why did he pick the Meteor.
It's also a big curve reason, I would say, with now picking a Pyro Blast, you make your hand not really flexible in any way, and it's also not the card he's maybe looking for at this point.
Yep. Not a Gateway Kodo.
Yeah, maybe Redemption can be considered too here. It's just these are just 2 of the more value-wise better secrets. Both are doing a good job here. Murlocs are normally the one you want to get away Kodo on, to get their effect again, and the other Paladin minions sometimes are really good with redemption.
So it's still turn 5, so there's no Spike Ridge Steed. That Meteor can be kept for the next turn, just to make sure you're gonna kill everything that is gonna, you know, be played on the board.
I mean, definitely, like, it's not the Meteor you want. I don't think he's also considering it. I wouldn't mind just making a value trade here in just with the 2-3 and ping it away. But Meteor really taking over the pressure. Okay, so it's really going for a tempo.
I was feeling like value trade and actually Doomsayer.
Scared of getting the Murlocs being buffed, even if he only leaves one up. I mean, Zalae is running a super snowball Paladin. His Paladin, not running True Silvers, not running Cons again. We have seen how Cifka was kind of bullying that, knowing there were no answers at any point.
He even was keeping a 6-2 minion instead of trading with it, right?
Murloc Paladin already plays so horrible from behind, but if Zalae's version, he might even more play even worse from behind.
Yep, definitely agree. And the previous games against StanCifka was just exemplary. Like description of how do you play against a deck that has almost no way of making a comeback. So definitely well played by StanCifka, and this time it's actually a very similar scenario. Zalae might be just facing a tempo problem against StanCifka's Mage.
Yeah, and his version is also not running much heal. Ragnaros is there, so it's definitely a card that can really carry him. But from around, it's going to be really, really difficult for Zalae. Okay, well, he finds an additional card that he called play, but going fast with the Doomsayer here. Might ping the 1-1. Might ping the face, but
well, slightly annoying. Like those turns, you know that you will have the Medivh next turn, but at the same time your opponent is playing with a Hearthstone Jaws. But do you even want to keep the Medivh for like a synergy turn, like on 10 with a Frostbolt? It doesn't really give you that much, but if your opponent is lacking the Hearthstone Jaws and you just jam it, it has bigger win potential right away.
Yeah, the only thing that Cifka can still totally fine handle it is it's just a poor amount of Zalae having healed. Like he has already been doing quite some damage. Cifka already 9 now. If he can like just hit a Firelance Portal in the face, I mean it's already at 15. It can go really, really fast if and he can just go without the Medivh then or jam Medivh and just hope Zalae is not getting the Ragnaros or Alex afterwards. It's going just really fast this game for Zalae, how StanCifka is handling it.
Still his card advantage. Even though he will lose the tempo this turn against Doomsayer, he might be able to just get back into the game. Oh, it's actually turn 7, okay, never mind.
Yeah, no, Cifka is just continuing with the pressure, and the deck from Zalae just doesn't play well from behind. It's Eldor is maybe a card that's kind of alright here.
Well, Eldor and Black Knight are the like tempo plays that he can do. But other than that, it's...
Well, when Black Knight is, if you call that a tempo play, it's already...
But it literally is a tempo play if it can nail a taunt minion. In this case against StanCifka, is there any taunt minion actually in the deck?
Not in general in a Mage. I mean, there might be from Portal getting some ways out or glyphs maybe in some way. But
Mirror Image, yeah,
that's a great target, huh? Yeah. Arcanalist is not too bad here. Might draw into the last secrets now with still an Ice Buck and counterspell left for Cifka.
But the counterspell is not really that great when you know that your opponent's still holding the secret that he got from the second Hydrologist.
Just looking forward to also not draw it probably, but here it's a little awkward for Cifka. I mean, he might be not be too happy with playing the Medivh, even Zalae having already a lot of cards in hand. Zalae will be overdrawing. It's not a great trade he has either. He has to sacrifice his operator if If you would have like a Frostbolt in the hand, it could be a really dominating play.
And he gets a counter spell. Alright.
Well,
I guess he will just not attack this time.
yeah, he might ping it because he kind of wants to get minion damage in here. Every minion damage helps too.
Okay, pink phase, interesting. No, never mind. It helps with the flame strike at some point as well, when the minion gets chipped damage. And
I mean, Cifka is in a spot where he can consider just going for the full burn plan, but it even when Ragnaros becomes already can already come
shut
super
him down,
strong
right?
there.
Yeah.
But it's really interesting to see that to not play Medivh at turn 8, like on ladder or wherever you normally just want to slam it here. Cifka just considering from it's just possible there's Harrison and feels that the slower approach here and there can work. It also helped a little bit because he was the last thing he wants is now to draw his counter spell or his ice block. So decreasing the draws of the secrets, increasing the draw of the damage. What is so important for him.
And also, he is putting multiple minions on board, which are really problematic to Zalae to deal with, because the only way he can deal with those will be actually the second copy of Relying Blade. And there's no Consecration, as you said before, so the chance of that Sorcerer's Apprentice actually living to the next turn is high. So if he top decks like Arcane Intellect, an example, it would be actually amazing.
For Zalae, the secret was not really a secret. He knows what secrets are there. So the counterspell wasn't a surprise. He just slams the face here for 10 damage.
Another Doomsayer. Well, that's definitely not something he was looking for. He's able to kill the Fen Creeper.
Flame Strike Fireball is not too bad. You also can still connect 5 damage to the face by minions and you clear the board. So seeing the plan of not going for the Medivh, I feel he might just follow it. And we have seen how Cifka likes to approach the matchup against Zalae's Paladin, where he just clears every time he can and just goes for the face there.
One thing that I just dislike about the fact that he didn't play Medivh is that even if your opponent has a Harrison Jones, you still have the Flame Strike to kill the Harrison Jones and some things alongside.
And you have a 7/7 body.
Yes, exactly. So interesting choice. It might... I mean, if Zalae would be running out of cards, I would definitely understand that the Medivh will not get played. But in this situation, like, I don't get it. This is like the reverse engineering.
Ooh, definitely a great draw for Zalae, picking up his heal addition in the Paladin. It's his only heal, but can definitely be helpful. Maybe not even now, but can still be helpful really in the next turns, where Cifka is going for the burn plan. Oh, look at that Fine Cleaver.
An amazing card in Wild, actually.
Yeah, there are so many things you can do with these dudes there.
Yeah,
I can imagine.
Quartermaster, Adapt, and oh my god, what was the name? The 3-mana free that gives you Divine Shields and 1 HP minions. Steward.
Oh yeah.
Darkshire Steward.
Zalae also having even more interesting in his kinda can say Tekadin. I would almost say to this point where he's playing Harrison, playing Black Knight, also not playing Primal Drake, he's playing Onyxia for even adding additional board pressure. Something he just wants to maximize where he can. This is gonna be a juicy Flame Strike for StanCifka though. Being a little greedy with the Flame Strike definitely paying off now.
But doesn't help with that 10-11 taunt.
No, well, he can trade everything in and fillet it. I mean, at the end it works that way. But then you trade all your 1/7, but yeah, otherwise you're getting popped. So I think you can consider Doomsayer, but otherwise you just have to trade with it.
And you're running out of cards. 2 Arcane Intellects are still there. 1 Primordial Glyph still there as well. But it's really not looking well for StanCifka here. Divine Cleaver can actually set up lethal in 2 turns. Because there's no way of stopping the damage apart from Frostbolts to the face.
So he has like different option now, like maybe he's scared of the Pyro in hand or like any burn, so can also just see Ragnaros just being really strong here. Otherwise, lethal setup is an option. I'm a little scared of Alex though for Zalae. Although, like, there will just be a defensive Alex from Cifka as a response.
And Zalae has no way of dealing with it.
And
Heck, he used both Peacekeepers.
you're kinda, if you're really going for the burn plan, you kinda just lose to Alex on board maybe. And for 7 mana dealing 4 damage, you're paying a lot for it.
Yep.
And Ragnaros likes this too.
And now this is super awkward for StanCifka again. Although he needs to sacrifice.
You need to kill Rack. You just need to kill him. Going for the Doomsayer, I kinda like. It's interesting he doesn't ping here. He's pinging the face. That's feeling a little.
What do you think it matters? Because of the one.
I'm just thinking if it gets punished by spells. I mean, there is the Blessing of Kings already out. Zalae's only running a one-off. There can be a Steed, but yeah, what can Steed really do?
3 damage and leaves a 2/6 for the next turn, which is important because it can attack. So
True.
actually, the Steed would be very important for Zalae this turn. Interesting.
But Doomsayer, Kodo being a great answer. One of the reasons Kodo has been around in so many decks is Mage. Besides it killing Doomsayer in StanCifka's version, every minion is just a 2/3 almost now with so many targets for the Kodo. It's just getting really great in this matchup.
And he plays 2 Peacekeepers in it. So you will have, even if your opponent doesn't run a deck that has 1 and 2 attack minions, he will have one at some point with the Peacekeepers. And that's actually a huge tempo play as well.
Well, and talking about Alex getting drawn for Cifka can consider healing and attacking, but really going for the fast plan. Will rely on drawing the second Ice Block now. There is no way that he's going to get the burn together. And needs to kill him over 2 turns. Still having more possibilities, getting another glyph, getting something going.
Well, the Tyrant seems like a very good draw this turn. You can pop the block, leave your opponent at 1 anyway, and just kill the Onyxia. Sorry, Alexstrasza this turn as well.
Yeah, seems strong. Getting an additional Murloc in there. 2 mana 3/3. Let's go, and there we go, Tarim.
Alright. Well,
mana
this is really getting awkward.
Yeah, and Mana Room is definitely, like, Cifka really needs some strong draws all together, getting super mana efficiency and getting everything together, but now with the draws getting just a little bit too late, your Ice Block there, but not for 2 mana.
Yep.
Not for 2 mana, man, Ice Block.
Well, old Frost Nova would have worked with 2 mana.
Yeah, well,
Man,
happy to see all these old Pyroblasts and old Novas not here anymore.
8 mana Pyroblast, 2 mana Frost Nova, 3 mana Cone of Cold was one of the most important cards. One of the most important card actually in the Mage. 3 mana Cone of Cold. It was just like a Frost Nova that actually dealt damage. Insane.
So Paladin is the first deck that Zalae gets out, and maybe the Mage not too painful. Cifka can have some more matchups with the Druid being banned out. 2 of the more harder matchups. But what is a big thing might be is that the Paladin is getting out. Cifka having a reasonable magic all over round. We saw that he actually 2 or 3-0'd it last series. So just the Paladin being away, Cifka probably not too happy with that.
Yep. And now we'll have to face the Mage from Zalae, which, as you spoke before, it's actually pretty weird. Right?
It is a really greedy one, and I would say that's not going to help him against the Shaman. Might help against like the Taunt Warrior, other control decks from other players, but the Taunt Warrior from StanCifka specifically. But what Zalae was doing is he's running the Bully, he's running the Antonidas, so having that combo together. But running a lot of tech cards around, Meteor is there, Harrison is there, so really tech for the, I would say that Warrior matchup especially. Also having a counter spell, having an Acolyte, so it's kind of greedy, like he's really weak to aggression. He's just weak to aggression, and the Shaman from StanCifka is not running more expensive cards almost than 3-drop, so
it's almost like an aggro druid.
It's really, he's playing an aggro Shaman with a refill possibility of the Spirit Echo, so really different way he went with the Spirit Echo.
So how do you feel about Primordial Glyph on turn 2? Otherwise, the option is just to kill patches, right? But
It's too slow. I'm definitely sure it's too slow to just ping the 1/1 away here. You need harder removal, faster removal.
So
Picking up a Blizzard Con of Cold is alright. Meteor is it just overkills everything.
But turn 3 Arcane Intellect into turn 4 Meteor. It's not bad. It kills 3 minions basically, right? For 4 mana.
Yeah, but 3 really shitty minions. I mean, they're really bad. Cifka's not running more than... I think his best statted minions are Stonehill Defenders almost. Well, they're a Thing from Below. It's okay. Thing from Below is a great target for it. The only weakness, or the only thing Zalae really has here is he just never has to be super scared of burn. Cifka is running a really board-oriented matchup with the Shaman and facing mainly or focusing on winning the board. And
especially with the Evolves and the Double Gangster, right?
Yes, and what he could for that, and also cutting where Direwolf, the Spirit Echoes are the Bloodlust, what are kinda can be hard cards to play around for a Medivh Mage that doesn't run freeze effects.
Yeah.
There is no Frost Nova to play around it, so not having to be scared to play around it makes things much easier for Zalae.
Stormforge X is something that we didn't see for a very long time in the game.
Yeah, I'm still not sure, like, it could have been nice to go Arcana list, yeah, but the Meteor, it can still do some work. Barrier caught me, maybe. With on top deck, it could go really well for tempo, but here it still is a reasonable spot. Just feel Meteor is doing a little too little.
Man, that is so awkward. But it was still the best choice, I feel like.
I won't mind Barrier, I was thinking of that too. But yeah, just because it was 1 mana.
Like with Barrier, what you would have done here would be Medivh's Valet into... I mean, Barrier into Medivh's Valet with Mana Vamp. That would allow you to kill the Flamedong Totem, but the opponent would still have multiple minions and could punish your minions by having weapons and so on, or second Flamedong Totem, or the Direwolf.
Yeah,
So
it's all true, but
a
yeah,
lot of punishment, right?
he's really looking for like some board clear and just going for the greedier version, not running available tools like Volcanic Potion, what is kind of popular.
Yeah.
Not running freeze effects. It's not making this matchup better. Where he will definitely be happy if he's gonna queue the Taunt Warrior into it next time, but here it's hurting. And yeah, when hey, you have to Fireball Flame Totems. It's, would have loved to have the Frostbolt or something instead.
Yep. So he kept the Meteor for those things from below or after an Evolve.
Yeah, it's gonna do good work here. I mean, it's definitely great against, and I think...
Very good placement by StanCifka. Both crucial minions with good placement. The Totem on the left side and the thing from below on the right side guaranteed that any kind of Meteor shenanigans will not kill more than 2 minions. So very good placement.
Yeah, and it gets more and more difficult. Cifka also drawing some weapons here, and weapons are kinda some of the only burns together with Flame Totem and Direwolves that he's really having, but might be really what he's now looking for in the end game. I just see 10 damage already with weapons. I know Zalae is not running any defensive.
Well, that's 5 turns.
It's 5 turns, but you can sneak in from here and here over time.
Okay, another Fireball being played instead of the Meteor. Well, in this case...
He looks for better Meteor value, I will say.
Then why would you pick it up in the beginning from the Primordial Glyph, right?
That was a really awkward one. I mean, could have picked some other stuff, but as a strong tool still, being able to deal well with maybe an Evolved board, one knows what value it's gonna get. It's just having mainly the mana issues is hurting Zalae so much. Cifka's taking a super fast approach. Just every turn is just gonna be 50 new damage that he is getting off here. And Zalae just not having the abilities to clear these kind of smaller, more annoying boards.
think he opts for all-out aggression. That meta for him is not really that important, right? No, he trades with it. Okay.
Yeah. And probably knowing Cifka trying to make maximum value, getting the hero power in with an Firefly, I would say. Maybe going the Flame Elemental.
Probably not the Firefly because he's the Primal from Totem. Well, Ice Block is helpful. You can play the Medivh's Valet as well to kill the Totem finally. But that means his opponent has still 3, 5, 7 damage, so only 2 more damage. So in this case would be Direwolf Alpha, an example, or Flame No Totem, or... Is he playing Jade Lightnings?
No, he's not playing Jade Lightning. No, he's not having any burn besides Direwolf Flame Totems. Not picking the Jade package.
So that means that Zalae can be safe for 1 more turn, but after that, it's slim pickings.
This is just one of the things StanCifka was really also pointing out. He really feels there's so little clear and AoE in the game at the moment with the meta decks around, that he felt that just such board-oriented decks, like he's doing here with the Shaman, can just fall off really well. More against an aggressive meta, not especially the Mage, but it's doing even a good job here against the Medivh Mage that if it gets so tagged, just isn't able to deal well. You see it here when you see Meteor on 0-3s and 1-1s. You know that's not so optimal.
He just wants to show dominance. Well, the Devolve is not really that important in this matchup in particular, but it's one of those key cards in some matchups where you just want to push the final attack with your minions. That means that you can probably just destroy every single taunt that your opponent has with just a single card. And those greedy cards are showing up for Zalae, not really helpful. Man, that is so awkward.
Yeah, and also the Arcana list, where it sometimes can pick up a barrier like a counter spell, is just not doing it here. It's just Zalae is just not made for this deck, and that's why the aggro druid is banned. Why StanCifka is just the Shaman is just doing really well, or is alright against the lineup. Same for the Miracle Rogue, but StanCifka is good. This is not what Zalae is targeting, and
yeah, definitely not. And what's even funnier is that this Shaman is just like a worse aggro druid.
It's pretty worse.
It has the similar lines of play.
It has some better matchups though. Like it can be with the Devolve and he has a Hex around too. It can actually be really good against Paladins maybe here and there, and it's not bad against aggro druid either. It's doing a pretty good job against Pirate Warrior, but these are not the decks that Cifka counted on, where he felt in a group with a full with so many control lineups. It's not that often for Cifka that he is the one with the most aggressive lineup in his group, man.
I think that's the first time I actually see StanCifka playing an aggressive lineup.
Yeah.
Look at that, StanCifka going all in with those 1-2 minions.
Well, I mean, with the weapon in the hand, he knows he's just in a really good spot. Even if the board gets fully trade away, still has to burn damage. So even there has to get a secret in play for Zalae, or the face has to get frozen to survive it.
And how do you do that with 8 mana? Not with this hand. You can go for the Firelands Portal, kill the 0-3 totem, get a taunt minion that has more than 4 HP.
Well, that's your out.
I think that's the out.
Yeah, he can take like an additional turn, go for that Canalist, and see if he can pick up the Ice Block. Feels maybe a little more reasonable to him, but yeah, that's not the Ice Block, and he can go for it and hope Cifka somehow, but he will always attack face. This time he makes the honorable ping.
Okay, well it's 1-1, so it's not gonna end with the same outcome. I mean, definitely
that was
with
already
the same, but with the same result. It will be at least 2-1 point for for one of the players. Just to remind you guys, this is the elimination match of Group A. both StanCifka and Zalae lost one match. The Chinese player PF is already through with a 2-0 score. He won both against StanCifka and Zalae. And now those guys are battling against each other.
Yeah, it's the second time they face each other, and it's gonna be rough though. I feel for Cifka maybe now. With the Paladin was definitely a deck that it was one of the decks still he could get his Taunt Warrior out. It's just in general a Murloc Paladin where he can get the matchup out, and it's gonna be more difficult. Like he really has to get his Taunt Warrior again out against. Well, we saw how greedy the Mage was, and well, that might be the matchup where it's gonna pay off a little bit here and there.
Well, we have seen some matches though that the warrior is able to kill or to destroy Medivh's weapon and take off that gas from the mage, right? Because that's one of the ways the mage wins this matchup. But at the same time, Zalae is packing additional engines in his deck.
Yes.
So as you mentioned, even the Onyxia is one of the key cards in that matchup. After the opponent already used like the Ghouls, used the Whirlwind, used the Brawls, Onyxia just single-handedly refills the entire board and pushes for a lot of damage, which is also fantastic that it refills the entire board because it plays against the hero power from the warrior, right? And Birgit Bully with Antonidas is one of those cards that actually can win the game as well.
Yeah, like a Bully Antonidas, I mean, I don't think it's good for a mirror, for example. Like, it's not going to improve your mirror match. I feel the Medivh Freeze Mage mirrors are so tempo-based now. It's so important to deal the first 10, 15 damage, have some control on board, follow it up with Firelands Portal, and the burn on normally is already enough. And yeah, the additional package really has to shine against the Paladins or indeed against the Taunt Warriors, and that's definitely what he's looking for.
Yep, it will be an interesting match. Actually, I think I didn't see a match like that yet. I mean, the specific like Mage built with such a greedy lineup against the Taunt Warrior. Because usually on ladder, no one can actually afford to play that type of mage, right? When the ladder is filled with aggro druid, with pirate warrior still kinda. So
it's one of the matchups I've kinda a lot of experience in more from the mage perspective, but I feel what StanCifka has to do is really go fast for the quest. He's also not running armor smiths. It's gonna be really hard to out armor Zalae's deck. And maybe it can be fast enough. I mean, we saw there is no freeze, no early removals, a little bit here and there. So there might be a little ways to like get early done with the quest here and there. Maybe get some armor back though with an armor smith. It's really going to be hard to out armor that version.
Well, we're gonna see how that pairs up. Maybe that will be the next match. At the same time, what was the last deck for Zalae? That was
Quest Rogue. He's also having the Quest Rogue.
And StanCifka is playing Miracle Rogue. As I think the only player in the entire tournament.
No, there were a lot of quests. Or there are a lot of Miracle Rogues also. I think there are a lot of tomorrow. Yeah. I think Radu brought it also, but there were one or two more in that group that also bought it. And has been a lot of people going around more with the Miracle Rogue nowadays. Quest Rogue can be a little bit targeted. I think it's really hard to target in a best of 7. It's gonna ask a lot from your decks. But the meta has been so aggressive in StarLadder. You have been having some really aggressive players here, known for their aggressive playstyle. So maybe people went a little back, and the Miracle Rogue has a way better matchup like against an aggro druid or against a Paladin than the Quest Rogue can have.
That's true. At the same time, it's as we have spoken about it before, such a tournament with just 8 players has its own metagame, right? It's not this. An example, when you go to a DreamHack with Swiss that has 200 people, you can't assume the same type of metagame will appear when you have 8 players that already went through a qualifier, have been playing a certain metagame for a while, and now that they have to mind games the situation in top 8 because they know exactly who is in their group, they know exactly who they will face, they know the playstyle of the opponents, they can be a little bit more lenient on what they can bring here and be more innovative, and that's super awesome to see in this tournament.
Okay, and here we go again with the Warrior, where we talked about one of the decks that is going to be the hard one for StanCifka to get out, and last time he got it out against the Shaman. Definitely a matchup, I would say, favorite for the Shaman, But last time, Cifka, like, also unfavorable matchups. These are the ones you normally have to win tournaments. And StanCifka did that in the first part, where he really cold go really fast into his quest. Zalae having a little bit slower start, and could not really follow up at some point anymore. Just not developing enough Jades and had 2 or 3 weak turns.
Yep, agree. And there's a heads-up play by StanCifka here with the turn 2 Fear Warx, just to show it, because you want to play on curve with the turn 3 Dark Reaper into the Bloodhoof Brave. It's super important to be on curve in the early turns with the Warrior.
It's also, he just wants to block, like Cifka or Zalae will know that, yeah, StanCifka wants to play in Dark Reaper and Stonehill Defender at turn 3. So he just coin Mana Tide if there is no Warwick's here.
Yep.
It's just what he's gonna do. And yeah, now maybe he's thinking of Defender. I guess he's gonna think of Hero Power more here with having a possibility of coining Harrison at turn 4. You won't mind going Hero Power, follow it up with Stonehill Defender maybe, and then go into the coin Harrison if there is still a 3-2 weapon or a 3-1 left.
It might actually happen that the weapon will still be intact till turn 4, since those minions from the hero power, those totems, are not that threatening in this matchup. The only thing that it can be worrying is like a mouse and portal with the air power totem, but at the same time your minions are big enough to actually not care that much about the 2 damage, right?
It's gonna be really likely to get it out for Zalae, or to get an Harrison proc here, I would say. But maybe Cifka, I mean, he also knows there's a Harrison, so it wouldn't be so strange to see that last attack happening last next turn. And this is actually a way, I mean, Cifka is gonna need a lot more additional tools. His hand is getting already to the point where he needs additional draw, Stonehill Defender, Curator, but he is at the point where, again, his minions are just doing a decent trading job, against the first Jades.
Oh, he gets the Acolyte. And now it depends on the way Zalae built his deck. The Acolyte of Pain can be played or not. And I like the play on the Acolyte because the only way of Zalae removing the Acolyte would be using actually Jade Lightning on that turn. If there's no Jade Lightning, that Stonehill Defender would actually be detrimental to what your opponent does. And in this case, would fuel the Acolyte of Pain.
And besides that, it's like Jade Lightning probably one of the better late game Jade cards. Wow, early devolve there. Definitely, but just denying the maximum. Oh, Pyrus!
Okay, well, that's awkward.
Yeah, but they just not want to give. It's one of the best ways to play against Stone Warrior, denying their draw. They are poor in draw. If we already see it in Cifka's hand. So if he's not gonna hit Curator or Stonehill Defender soon, it's gonna be problematic maybe. Because he wants to finish the quest really, really fast.
Now he's kind of stuck at 1 point. And he only has 1 more taunt in his deck, in his hand. That means he still needs to get at least 5 more cards, and 5 of those need to be taunt minions to even think about finishing the quest.
Yeah, he's getting some good value, or some really good value trades with both of the 2/2s into the Stonehill Defender. Can also consider using the Warwick's here. Has a second one.
Yeah, I like it.
I'm not sure if I like it.
Well, you save it for... at least your opponent can't play a natural turn 5 Harrison Jones to get 1 card. And if you get to swing the Fury Warx next turn, you still play around the Harrison Jones because it won't get to the durability points from it. And you don't have anything else to play anyway. Yeah. Although the turn 5 is the most crowded spot in the Warrior, so it might get drawn next turn.
Value is so low of a Warwick's in a 1/2. It's gonna be so still a value. In some turns, all the value that you have left can be that value that can win you additional game. Maybe Volcano is getting out here. I mean, it's not gonna help him late game. Volcano, but
3/9, 11 HP.
Nah, it's probably... He kind of wants to develop the board, but this is actually a way for the Taunt Warrior to play against the more greedy Shaman. Like, both decks are pretty bad in the early game. They're two of the most slowest decks in the early game nowadays, and just being able to have a 2/6, knowing there will be, if there are Jades coming, they're gonna be 2/2s. They're just gonna get so traded so well away. Like all the early game Jades are the 1/1s, the 2/2s, the 3/3s. When you can handle them well, get so many resources left. And Harrison getting played might pretty nice for Zalae, but Cifka not too sad maybe seeing it here either. Like still has great trades possible.
He's the trading board, so that's definitely fine.
The Pyrus, man.
And the Pyros are actually on the curve as well.
Was that really a devolve that happened on board? I mean, the Pyrus is pretty insane. Doesn't help for the quest, but
it doesn't. But it puts pressure, and it's actually bigger than things from below, which is important. It helps with basically everything that your opponent will play. Jinjus are 3/6, so they get killed by Pyros. By the evolution step 2.
Yeah, I think I don't mind Pyrus here. Trading the 2/2 into a 5/2 is alright. Cifka considering here the Warwicks with Tar Creeper to save his 2/2. But I don't think you have such clean turns to play Pyrus where it's so scary for Zalae.
Yeah, I like it a lot. Look at that, 11 power staring at Zalae.
I think it's gonna be in Volcano here. I don't think Zalae is. I mean, Volcano is not so great. It can get here and there some value, but you want to be the one on board, so it becomes worse when you are going for your board plays. And
he can even consider coining hero power this turn because of the fact that he has double things from below in his hand, and there's also a third one in his deck.
I really want to see Volcano here. The way you want to develop is when there's not much from the warrior around. You don't want to give warrior all these valuable traits into your minions. And spell power getting in there. Well, 2 more taunts, but Cifka running a little low now. Really gonna need to get that Defender or Curator. Well, maybe some other taunts can be alright too, because the Warwicks can still connect 4/7 on the quest, so still looking for 3 taunts. One of the problems for him is going to be that the hero power of the Shaman can be a problem for the Ragnar's hero power, but still you just have to hit the only a little times the face with the hero power, and there you can go already.
There's an awkward turn for Zalae as well. He can opt for hero powering this turn if he gets the Taunt Totem. I would think actually about the Manatite Totem this turn as well. Although he goes for the thing from below just to make the same play but guaranteed and put a bigger minion on board. So he doesn't want to play into the Spirit Echo value yet. That he might get to draw at some point, of course. Well, Dirty Red into Brawl is a possibility, but at the same time you have 3 cards on board and you would actually develop a Brawl, which is a 4th card, and that means you're putting more than your opponent is putting into the Brawl, so it's never a good option, especially in this kind of match where you play for a little bit of value in the mid game.
Going here for the Dirty Red already, playing it really strong on curve and looking for ways to deny echo value or get better trades on board too. And well, got the trade into the Manatite, using the Execute here. It's a big resource to lose, but it is the way to trade off the Manatite, and it's the way to just deny the draw from Zalae. What is so important. You don't want to have Manatites there that stay around for 1 more turn and giving Zalae that 1 additional minion that he might need in 5 turns, in 7 turns, wherever, but every turn matters. Like the Shaman has to, once the Zalae will get the board at some point, but what matters is how long can he keep it. Can he keep it for 3 turns, or can he keep it for 6 turns?
Or will he lose it after Brawl and Hero Power after the quest, right? So that's another thing to consider, but 1 Execute was already being played, which is important to know. StanCifka's second card is 100% Pyros. That's Zalae's information.
Yeah, it's really annoying how much resources Zalae is losing. Just everything, like, he's not developing his Jades. Did he even play a freaking single Jade already?
I don't think so.
It's like, it's not even developing any kind of Jades yet.
Oh, does it help?
Well,
Yeah, it helps
it
a lot,
actually helps
actually.
a lot.
Interesting. It actually did help a lot. First Jade Golem appears on turn 8.
And the quest is almost finished. Oh my god, that hurts so much. Such an horrible draw for Cifka. We knew this could be the problem some turns ago, where he needed so badly an additional card draw, and it's really gonna not hitting the Stonehill Defender, not hitting the Curator, or even a Drake here. Might just armor it up here, and that's something. I don't think you brawl this. I cannot see you brawling it.
No, you can't. The problem is if your opponent gets a Spirit Echo off this board after playing a Jade generation card, a card generating golems, might be very problematic, because after that, you know that the brawl is actually pointless. It gives so much tempo, swing back, right?
Maybe brawl is like, but wow, so painful.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's just the echo that's too scary there.
Oh, and the 5/5 lives.
So pain, it's so big.
In this case, I would actually think, from Zalae's standpoint, about just playing one Jade Spirit, and
I think you can echo this board.
you think so? After the Jade Spirit, just Echo and Hero Power, even without the Hero Power, right?
I'm a little too scared if you lose this board that your echo value is gonna be hard. Think from Below is one of the best echo value cards. Jade Spirit and a Jade Golem, like you're adding, in this way you're adding 2 Jade Golems kinda with the Jade Spirit and single Jade Golem, so you can sneak in a Hero Power. Like even Ghoul Fishes already clears the board. It's the other ways you want to look for Echo are then like Jade Chieftains or something. I really want to mind Hero Power Echo here. Okay, just Hero Power. Can totally live with that too. It's a really close call between going for the Echo here or not.
So far in this tournament, we have seen really greedy Echo plays.
Okay.
Like players going for like the greediest possible plays with the Echo.
Well, against
then
Warrior,
back.
it's definitely a way to go for.
But you can lose the board so easily, and then the Echo kinda is ruined, and you need to play it like. I think that was actually StanCifka, or was it Zalae? Can't remember, but I think that was Zalae actually. When he didn't play the Spirit Echo, got punished by the Ragnaros shot, and then the only thing that did make up for that loss was the top deck Aya, because the Aya could have been Spirit Echoed. But other than that, he was looking to be in a terrible spot. But this has to be Spirit Echoed. Like this is way too much.
Not too bad of a Spirit Echo, right? This one. Yeah, it might also be a little bit of a read for Zalae, knowing that turn 10 Pyrus isn't pretty likely going down there, like getting a little dead hand there.
Value.
Well, actually,
Insane.
do you see this Drake Fishes? It's insane. 10 damage to the face, man. It's actually way of an... It's actually really strange that Zalae just didn't draw a single Hex, and...
It can happen now. Wait, he will have overdrawn, right? He will have 10
getting
cards.
a lot, yeah.
He will have 10 cards, and that means he can burn a Hex.
Yeah, and just burn in general already hurting a little. So maybe some tempo win condition here for Cifka. Even swinging the Warwicks in.
Volcano.
That's a painful one too. I
yeah,
mean,
that would
it's
be a
also
clear here. Yeah. Whoops.
So yeah, there is just no single way to deal with it. He can roll the Spell Power Totem and have enough with the Jet Lightning, but otherwise he's just only minions. It's only minions here. And that's the thing, when you're first playing all your spells in the early game and you're not able to develop your Jade Golems, you're also the Devolve, the Volcano that have all been used. It's so painful for Zalae to not being able to play the Jades, just also for that reason.
Man, from being in a dominant position on board to actually lose everything and get 10 damage to the face.
It's a big way for the warrior against Shaman. I mean, there are a lot of ways he can connect great Sleep with the Fishes. So there are a lot of ways he just gets rid of with the Brawl, the full board. So Taunt Totem first, rolling totems, nope. Just gonna fully develop, not trying to roll the spell power.
Well, he gets a 6/6 and a 5/5, so that's looking decent, but still, this is the turn when StanCifka can actually go online with the quest. And although he is only at 12 HP, the Ragnar's shot actually generates practically health here as well, because it kills a creature, which then can attack.
Yeah, there is no lethal possible here. It's gonna be...
Well, wait.
No,
There's a lethal setup, because he can kill the totem. No,
there's no lethal, there's no lethal.
There's no lethal, yeah.
It's gonna be, he has to commit 8 damage in the taunt, so there can only be 14 to face. Still will always fire the shot here. He might have to trade the 10-5 into the thing from below if the rack shot is not gonna hit the thing from below. I wouldn't mind trading the 0-2 away here. You have to get rid of it, and you don't want it to hit, so you want to trade away.
And it gets the biggest minion. Huh, interesting. Well,
and great to develop as much Jades as you can, but you kind of want to remove a little bit too here, and it's a little hard for Zalae to...
Well, he doesn't have an easy clear on any of those minions. What he can do is, of course, play the Jade Lightning, which is not bad, generates a 7/7 minion. When you think about it, 4 mana, 7/7, and deals 4 damage, no overload. Seems like a decent card.
Jade Lightning is getting so insane later in the game. It's at turn 4 you're like, it's alright. It's alright. It's just alright.
Decent still,
it's still alright.
Yeah. When you think about it, Fire Plume is actually for 4 mana. It's a 3/3 that deals 2 damage, right? So when you have like a 4 mana that creates a 1/1 and deals 4 damage, it's not bad.
It's not bad, but as you see how good, you definitely want to connect the Jade Spirits, the Aya, more in the early game to really keep things going. Starting with the Totem, looking maybe for the spell damage will make the clear more appealing. It's getting a little scary on live though, not sure. Yeah, it's getting a little tricky. But you see, like, the golem pressure from Zalae is getting already to a point where it's a little low. Their Jade Claws saved it a little bit. Oh, horrible draw for Cifka here.
No way of activating the Acolyte of Pain. And the Dirty Rat is not great when your opponent is already having a full board. So what he can do is he can clear up some minions, and then hopefully that rack shot will again rescue him by sniping the biggest Jade Golem there is.
Yeah, maybe this is a turn for Cifka where you hero power before red, because he knows there are like so many weak Jades in the hand, or like 2/2s, 3/3s, 4/4.
So he kills the 4/4 with the weapon, I guess. Oh my god! Well, okay.
Might really want to play for the board game now.
I feel like you need to kill the 4/4 with the swing. Your opponent needs to go through the taunts.
Thinking if the 5/2 trade is better. Just to remove 1 additional damage, making the trade harder. Oh my god, Devolve.
Well,
that's just gonna be lethal normally.
That's like almost 100% lethal.
Yeah. Oh. And that's still lethal. Yeah, it had to be an insane roll, but...
Well, the Dirty Rat is like a 2-drop, so we'd have to get a 0/2... Sorry, a 1/2 taunt minion or 2/1 taunt minion, and that's still not enough to sustain the attack. So, almost impossible to play over that Devolve, and that means Zalae is taking the lead. 2-1 against StanCifka.
Yeah, and it wasn't. It came actually a little bit close here in the air, but the Spirit Echo just connecting so well made it so hard for Cifka, where he especially lost it, where the two so suboptimal turns, where he just gave so much room away. The brawl was the biggest one, where the turn 9 brawl, if I remember correctly, just was so bad in general already, and then also the worst outcome with the thing from below surviving and giving Zalae so much room. He had so much initiative. Like, it was definitely the way Cifka wanted it to go, the start. But the mid game, it felt more and more down.
It fell flat. That's true. Actually, hitting, like when I think about it more, that thing from below, from the brawl, did set up the late game pretty in a bad shape for StanCifka. If he would be allowed to clear the entire board and still have at least one minion there after that brawl would have been incredible for him.
Okay, and here we are going into the matchup where I was also talking a little bit about before, the warrior against the mage. Normally a little bit warrior favorite. The more the additional burn the mage is running, normally mage favor or getting more into the game, but Zalae really having a great version with even adding additional minion pressing, having great tech cards like Polymorph and Meteor, what are pretty nice
that's pretty
around.
insane, right?
And I just think, as Cifka knowing, or as Cifka his deck, he might just need to go for the early quest. It's normally the warrior really wants to play the armor game. I don't know how reliable it's going to be for Cifka. I will maybe consider for him going for an early Ragnarok Hero Power and see if he can just smack it down from there.
Yeah, I agree with you. That seems like the most reliable game plan. Although here, as we see, he has 3 taunt minions. That means he can... What is the earliest he can finish the quest? It's already turn 2. 3... Basically, he needs to play 7 taunt minions, right? That means the earliest turn would be 9.
Nah, it can be a little early if you get some mana efficiency in the towns. Like if you get a Stonehill Defender and some second Dirty Red. At turn 7, you don't need to play in 7 drop, but it's gonna be normally turn 8 isn't really common. Early warrior quest.
Well, Stonehill Defender would be like the thing to speed up the process, like with cards like Public Defender, Pompous Thespian, or Gastropod. When you get those small minions that can speed up the quest.
Maybe some Dirty Red and Tar Creeper draws can make it nice. Here for Zalae though, there are... Like, you don't really want to use any burn, you don't need to. And ooh, the Harrison draw, we're not going to see that into the Varix directly maybe, but still a great draw to pick up.
Why don't you think we're going to see it in the Warx directly? I mean, StanCifka could just not attack with it, right?
It's actually pretty great to also see StanCifka just freaking attacking
just
there.
Attacks with the Warx like a true pirate warrior he is, right?
Maybe he's also going for the really fast burning plan. I would love to see it. It will give Cifka, it will get some great knowledge, I would say, from this matchup if he's going for a super fast quest play, what not many warriors are doing against Mage.
Yeah, I agree. Especially those, like, well, we might have given a little bit too much credit towards the other players, because the other players might have adjusted the game plan as well if they would know the exact deck list from Zalae. That's the case here in this tournament. Every single player knows the deck list of their opponents and can plan accordingly to that. And we have seen a lot of weird plays in this tournament because of the fact that people know exactly what's going to happen in their opponent's deck.
Be careful what you are seeing here, guys. It's not always comparable to the ladder, just saying.
Exactly.
But I kind of like it. I mean, it adds an additional skill part of it, like can you use the information or is there anything you can do? It makes also in deck building from what do you want to do if your opponent knows the deck, so.
Right, that glyph wasn't the best in general.
Nope.
But at least what it does, it gives you a 0-mana spell that you can play alongside the Antonidas.
Yeah, that's true, but I feel, again, I mean, you don't make your MD better in control matchups by putting more expensive cards in the deck. It's, in some ways it's correct, but he has so much mana in the deck to play everything, and so many little ways to deal with early boards like this.
Well, like right now, he actually has 20, 25, 28, 31, 34, 35 mana in his hand.
Yeah. And then think about the fact that he didn't draw his Alex, he didn't draw his Medivh, he didn't draw his Bully, he didn't draw his Antonidas. Like, things are not gonna become much cheaper either.
Yep. So that's the 4th point, I think.
This is the 4th taunt. 2 armor, 3. Played a Varix before. Yeah, definitely a pretty decent fast game plan for Cifka here. Armored up here. 2, still having a decent armor. Like every armor you get before you go into the quest also really matters. And he will still make the swings happen with Varix.
It's very awkward turn for Zalae. The second Fireball can deal with the Bloodwolf Brave.
Polymorph is a consideration too here on a 2/7.
But you can't play both, and that's awkward as well. You can develop, if you go for either the Fireball or the Polymorph, you can develop Counterspell the same turn, which might be good to develop it already so you can play around basically any removal in the upcoming turns.
I
think he goes for the Gazer as well.
Pinging is greedy. It's not playing the board game. I don't like the ping too much. So slow, so much mana. I'm a little bit scared for Zalae if he can catch up all the
Zalae
tempo.
looked great, right?
Yeah, well, it looked alright, and also having a 0 mana spell can be. I mean, I can see the Valet not make you too happy there.
I like this play by StanCifka a lot.
I like the Ghoul a lot too, because it's adding damage.
It's so much damage when you think about it. It's almost like a cold blood right now.
Yeah, and Cifka is just not even thinking of the quest. He's just gonna deal 30 damage with minions, and it just keeps being a problem for the Mage of the Zalae. I mean, greedy belts are good in control matchups, but cannot sometimes go too far. You need the tools to also still put the early deal with the early pressure.
And the 6 damage coming from the Fire Warx to the face. That is some really oppressive.
It's also because
playstyle.
StanCifka will do as much as he can to fit his mana curve as strong with the Defender, with maybe the red. So might feel this 2 mana that he has now room for is the time to use. Also Harrison, where it looks kind of alright, it's not the time you want a Harrison. I mean, look at the damage at the board. You need to deal with this board. And if Harrison fits with that, sure. But first, this board is too scary.
And now he has to commit to the Medivh's Valet Fireball.
Zalae is kinda alright Harrisoning here if he Valets and maybe connects with the Glacier, is able to trade the 5/5 away, so only 4 damage being left and removing 3 damage.
Well, he can kill the Bloodwolf Brave, right?
Yeah, that's so there's only the Ghoul left, and but you see, he just feels the pressure and is gonna probably
feels depression.
The pressure. maybe not depression yet. It's not time. You're 2-1 ahead. It's not needed at all.
All right. Well, the Frostbolt to the face.
Frostbolt in the face. Wow.
That
wow.
guarantees the Harrison Jones to be played next turn, basically.
Yeah. Seems alright. Wow. Well. Oh well. No, not next turn. This turn.
And that is 6 ticks on the.
Oh my god, that went really fast. The Footman can do the quest here too, with an armor up, with an execute connection.
Fun fact, the Goldshire Footman graphic was actually in an epic, it was like a commander in World of Warcraft TCG.
Oh, alright.
Yeah, he was actually quite big, like a 5/5, so he got degraded, the Footman.
It's not so big here, man.
Yeah.
Actually, man.
Marshall, that was a Marshall, but I can't remember his name.
I'm proud of Cifka picking the Footman, giving him some ready to for action fine. Like, he's not getting picked that often.
And how does Zalae win this game?
It's just the thing, like, the warrior it's not a control warrior. It's a mid-range warrior.
Yeah, exactly.
It's you're facing a mid-range warrior, and the greedier you make it, the more problem you get. If the mid-range warrior takes the more aggressive stand, it just can't take.
And Zalae just didn't anticipate such an opening like that, right? An explosive opening by StanCifka.
I mean, StanCifka is not running armor smiths. He is running additional taunts, and his deck is just really, really greedy. And yeah, I don't think it improved his matchups too much. It's just too little ways to deal with things in the early game. Alright.
He heals for 5 or he goes aggressive? Aggressive, okay. Okay, I like it because his opponent is kind of lacking answers in general.
Might also not make the Sylvaris so appealing. Zalae definitely in a good spot with the double ice block too. Execute has to get used here, I feel.
The Dirty Rat from StanCifka is actually pretty decent because he knows that his opponent has a 1/2 minion in his hand.
Yeah, but don't you want to like maybe wait to get, I don't know, a Medivh out or an like or a Valet out, like some damage. That's alright.
You need to deal with the Alexstrasza this turn anyway, right?
Yeah, I feel you have to execute it maybe. Maybe he's going Sylvaris. Looks like he's going Sylvaris. Looks like he's going Sylvaris, yeah. Hitting the face, equipping Sylvaris, and he says, Alex, you're gonna die or I'm proccing your ice block. And it's getting a little tricky if it's... this might be a better outcome for Cifka. Because otherwise the board is getting really wiped and Alex is gonna deal 8 in the face.
Okay, but he's at 22 HP and Zalae has his Pyroblast in his hand.
Yeah.
So still has guaranteed 3 turns of his mage being alive. That means if he goes for the Pyroblast, like, is there any way of for him? Is there any other way of winning the game now apart from just burning his opponent's face?
No, not anymore. And that was already like the thing that we expected to happen. I mean, Cifka has to do this, so and I love it.
I like the Pyroblast right now because you will not have most likely enough time in the future when you need to play your ice block the same turn to guarantee additional burn coming from your deck. So the Pyroblast right now, when there's the only turn when you're not getting popped, seems like the best option.
I look at the Discover and I'm like, all right.
Well,
not
that's
so
pretty damn sweet against some aggro.
Yeah, well. But Cifka might pull off the Dirty. I'm not sure if he's going Dirty Red this turn. You're not too happy seeing an Alexstrasza there, or an Antonidas or a Medivh.
Well,
the bodies are pretty strong.
You need to pop the block, and if you go for the Dirty Rat, you are not guaranteed to pop the block.
Yeah.
Unless you play first the hero power and then play Dirty Rat. I don't think like that's the case.
He might go Dirty Rat next turn, but not this turn indeed.
Because if you play the Dirty Rat this turn and your opponent has a Flame Strike, then he hits the face with the minion that gets out of it. Here we go.
That might be the Fire Dance portal here because it's so mana efficient together with the ice block.
I like it a lot.
But it's gonna need an fireball from the top there.
Well, he has Glyph. He has the Glyph as well.
He needs 6 damage together with the ping. So 7 damage in theory. Yeah, I think you want to go for the Fire Lance here. It's just too mana efficient. Your outs are getting you're getting yourself so much additional outs using your 7 mana card now.
Huh.
That's actually pretty bad. You add like an White Ice.
The Storm Guardian in your deck is actually detrimental to what's your game plan right now.
One is it bad that you punishment to have a 5 mana Tenten in your deck.
Yeah. It's pretty silly. All right. Well, that still...
No, this glyph is going to be so important for Zalae.
The glyph and the draw.
I mean, fireballs have been...
2 fireballs have been used.
Where are 2 in this game?
One was used on the Bloodhoof Brave, and the second one was used on the first Ali Armorsmith.
So the glyph is gonna be so, has to be so MVP then. I mean, then the outs are actually,
Fireball, Pyroblast.
they are gone. If they are gone, the outs are just really low. It's just the glyph that has to hit well.
Yep.
Then their top decks are not gonna save him. Acolyte draws are not gonna save him. And
There he goes, the Storm Guardian into the deck.
oh, that gives a little additional outs because Frostbolts, Glazer from the glyph are all dealing the damage. And
what's the left card?
oh, I think it's enough.
Oh, it's another glyph! It's another glyph.
Well, next choice. You always have another shot, huh?
Let's see what the another glyph has to say. And
Oh,
it's
and
a
a
Flame
Glazer.
Gazer!
It's a Glazer.
Oh my god. That was such
Yeah.
a close one. But the fact that he did get the second Violence
Oh
portal
my god.
increased the glyphs by such a huge margin.
Wow.
That was actually insane.
Came all down to 1 armor, man. Came all
Yep.
down to 1 HP.
Yeah.
It's really, you see, and oh, it's so important for Zalae. The warrior for Cifka still not getting out, and actually his mage getting out too. It became kind of tricky all over all his series, where it's greatly made for the control decks, but it's also so tricky the tempo that some of these decks can still generate. And well,
Zalae is now left with his
Quest Rogue
Rogue.
being left indeed, and
that's one of the best decks against Taunt Warriors.
against Stormwarrior it's great. I mean, the Mage has a pretty decent shot, especially Cifka's version. Running Frost Nova, just freezing the board for a whole turn is really great for Cifka. So I think the Mage is alright. Miracle Rogue is kind of alright too against Quest Rogue, but I mean, he has to beat it 3 times, and beating a deck 3 times, beating Quest Rogue 3 times,
It's not easy. It's not easy.
it's not so easy indeed.
If you don't have an aggro lineup, I mean, it's still kind of tricky when you have an aggro lineup because the rogue can just play, you know,
It's still Rogue. It's still
chain
Rogue,
Glacier
man.
Shards 4 times or 5 times, and you're like, huh, okay, well, that's actually better than Iceberg. So, what can I do now? I'm just looking at the deck from Zalae, and the remarkable things about that Quest Rogue is the fact that he plays double Hunger Crabs.
Okay, well, they are not too helpful against any.
Yeah.
Well, there are Murlocs from the Shaman, but that one
Well, he
is
has-
already gone.
He has his own Murlocs as well.
Oh. Well, the Mage is fine. The Mage is, I mean, Freeze Mage is one of the, people will say, counters to Quest Rogue, because you have a lot of early pressure now. You freeze the board with Novas at some point once the quest is finished, and you have so much, with the Ice Block, an additional turn and a lot of burn. And Cifka is kind of running Freeze Mage with Medivh. Medivh not being a useful card here, but it can still be, it shall be a fine matchup for Cifka. But it's a close one. He's a little favorite, but not by too much.
Yep. Okay, so Quest Rogue, in my opinion, is the most complicated deck right now to play. It has so many different small things that matter in the big picture. Like an example, the mulligan here. For Zalae, it's super important to make the proper choice here. And
Wow.
wow, he kept everything. Okay, that's interesting.
Oh, no, he didn't.
oh, okay.
It just looked like...
But he
it's
didn't
only-
keep the Novice Engineer, which is... Wait, no, what happened?
It's hard
Okay,
to...
he mulliganed away the prep, or did he mulligan away everything? I'm
Prep
so
at least.
confused.
Prep at least. Was hard to say, but here, one of the great cards are... The Elemental sometimes is really good in this matchup. It doesn't really contest the 2-drops from the Mage, but can still be so important to get the quest finished fast. There is one of the
Shadow
bouncers.
Step.
Yeah, pretty
The
important.
Shadow Step is the most important card in this particular deck. Like the way you can combo it with cards, like depends on the matchup. It's such a toolbox because you can either speed up the process of just making the quest, but at the same time, it can generate taunt minions against particular strategies like Pirate Warrior, Aggro Druid. It can just get you additional taunt minions on the board, which might be so
Wow,
crucial.
goes for the Murloc here. Well, definitely at least consider also the coining out Ignorance Elemental to make the value trade with your hero power, but
Well, he
staying the
keeps-
mana efficiency here.
He keeps the coin for the counter
Yeah,
spell.
that's
right?
so important. It's so important. actually.
Otherwise, your Shadow Step or preparation needs to be played into the counter spell.
Now they're like considering that there is indeed for Cifka no ice barrier but a counter spell. It definitely isn't. You want to keep that coin. You
Look
want
at
to keep that coin. Well, but can you play around 2 counter spells?
You're not gonna play around that, right? So
Well, you gonna have to at least try to. I would
Yeah.
say losing your quest is not what quest rogue likes.
yeah, definitely not. I think I never saw a quest rogue that won against, you know, when his quest got counterspelled or burned.
I think what I have seen mostly when that happened is that they pretty fastly conceded the same turn even. I think that's the most common follow-up.
True. All right. Well, it's still a decent option for StanCifka to take his time while discovering, because that makes it not obvious that it's a counter spell. If he takes
I
the
might
counterspell,
also
of course.
just shortly consider the Gazer adding like burn damage for 0 mana. It's a really tempo-based matchup. He needs to have the burn, but he also needs to have the burn at the fast times. And what I really like is here, the last thing you want to do is helping Rogue getting their quest done. One of the ways you help them getting the quest done is killing the Ignorance Elemental. You give them 2 of the elementals, and then that's more. They're not gonna bounce the Ignorance Elemental, like it's so expensive, and they really want it. So Cifka pinging the face there, not giving the valuable trait.
Sometimes you see that a rogue is just backstabbing his own Ignis Elemental, because that guarantees him the kill on it.
Yeah, wow. Well,
The fact
he
that
said
Zalae's-
2-4 though.
Maybe now he will bounce
Yeah,
it.
well, I mean, get one more back or one more shadow step, and you just do it.
Like, there's so many ways of building.
I like this. I like this from Cifka also, because maybe Zalae is gonna get giving some counterspell respect here soon. Well, Novice Engineer being alright.
I hope you like my invention.
Okay.
That's fantastic.
So, well,
Well, you attack first, right? There's no reason not to attack. So at least you know it's not ice barrier. Well, actually,
in theory, he can actually make the attack. Shadow Step is Ignorance Elemental. Play it for 1 mana. Brewmaster it. Play it next turn for 3 mana if quest is finished. But no, I'm seriously considering it. Like it's a guaranteed fast one. Like you maybe Novice Engineer is still the way for Zalae to go here, because it's likely to pick up something. But 2 mana or 3 mana, I mean, it's not. It's gonna be like 2 mana cheaper, but you already played 2 of these elementals, so I really wouldn't mind. It's a little strange. It's a little creative to deal with the Ignorance Elemental.
Oh wow, he goes for the Tau Creeper.
All right,
That's really weird.
it's slow. It's definitely slow.
Like, I was thinking about 2 most probable things. One is just bouncing the Brewmaster and the Novice Engineer. I mean, bouncing the Novice Engineer with the Brewmasters. So then you can play the coin. In case it's counterspell, you don't get to play the Novice Engineer. If in case it's not counterspell, then you get to Shadow Step your Novice Engineer. In that
I
point too.
like what Zalae's doing, or I like what Cifka's doing. Not playing any minion to give the valuable trait, and now he's just in a little spot, Zalae, where he has to go for the quest, and no matter how he wants to do it, it has to. He cannot. Maybe he's now considering to go with Shard, because he has 2 in the hand and has 2 bouncers. So could just go it all together here already, or set up at least, so he has the quest for next turn with still having the coin, or with having 5 mana to play the quest. That's just too important. Coin has to be kept. Quest has to be played next turn for 5 mana. But I actually might just like it. I actually just like it. I would have done it last turn maybe, setting it up, because you could do it so nice for 3 mana.
And the
So
Tau Creeper is just
so
basically
yeah.
nothing, right? That you did basically nothing with those 3 mana that last turn.
But is able to finish the full quest here and also get the quest in hand. Meteor placement still on point. Or not, eh? It looks on point.
Yeah, it looked like for a second, but then it kind of switched around.
Not sure if that's just for us or...
Not sure. Might be a spectator bug, but how much damage does StanCifka hold? He has a fireball, a geyser that's 6, that's 9.
Oh man, this is
Still
so
not
strong.
enough.
It's so strong.
Well, Zalae needs to get a deckhand right now. And
All the pings are mattering, and...
well, they actually, he wanted to get it even with the deckhand. Because he needs to have quest
And a weapon.
and a weapon. Actually, he would have made it with the coin if there was no counterspell. So that would have been an out.
Maybe like a boar and shadow step and then trade it away, but yeah, it's so expensive. Wow. I mean...
well, this one, I think you develop the quest and just hero power. Because your minions die, but you get to develop 4 flame elementals next turn. And you have no way of killing, like basically vanishing this board is the same outcome, but you don't play the quest.
Yeah, maybe he's considering maybe pod, but otherwise it has to be the quest. And yeah, odd. So Doom's... It's just the reason why the Mage is just having a quite alright matchup. You see what Cifka did? He played 1 or 2 minions in the first turn, and after that he just started to burn. And okay, Zalae finally is doing the quest. Okay, I play Frost Nova, Doomsayer, and it's just the ways that by the Mage is so good. And he's still having 2 additional turns we might not even see.
But at the same time, if Zalae would have the deckhand, that would have been quite insane. Because he gets to keep the board, kills the Doomsayer, and threatens lethal next turn. Of course, with the Ice Block that wouldn't be lethal, but there's no way of StanCifka actually to deal with that board again. And that means he's on the clock as well.
Yeah, that's the reason why maybe, yeah, another freeze can really be helpful to just freeze the board. But now he's still, yeah, was already really close with the burn plan. Like, if we look at how much damage there is for Cifka, we are having the fireball, we are having twice 3 damage, and we are having also the geyser picked up for 0 mana. So you're just getting so close to get all the burn together, and now he just might sneak in the last damage with the minions on board.
An incredible discovery.
Yeah, now counterspell just a little bit too late. The counterspell was really great before, but now in second Ice Block is plus 10 mana. It's just an additional turn, so was more looking for that. Maybe he's gonna sneak in the Medivh soon, where he just gets these 3 ship damage in with the weapon. It's all what matters,
Yeah,
man.
it's actually true.
It's just StanCifka's on a quest, and his quest is dealing the 30 damage, and he's getting already quite far.
So he played his own quest on turn 1, deal 30 damage to the rogue. Win the game.
It's always the quest for the Mage against the rogue. It's what you have to achieve. Interesting. So we are not gonna see the Vanish here, it seems.
How many goes even? Okay, what does he look
I'm
for?
a little surprised we're not seeing the Vanish. I think Vanish...
Well, the Vanish of the Medivh's Valet is kinda awkward. Double patches! That's 15 damage. But it's still not enough to break the ice. Oh, that's awkward.
You don't like Vanish, just triple Flame Elemental there?
I don't like giving my opponent back the Medivh's Valet, you know? But at the same time, I feel like it was very important to kill the Flame Elemental from his opponent. So I would not mind actually using the Shadow Step on the patches. So of course it didn't matter, because now as you
it
can
was
see,
a close one.
StanCifka gets the lethal. And it's 3-2.
It's 3-2. And, well, Cifka fighting here. Fighting for his tournament life. I mean, it is an elimination match, so they are both at 1-1, and the winner advances to the top 4. And it's looking still a little bit grim. I mean, the last, like, this probably was his best matchup. The Miracle Rogue, if he goes with that now, is totally alright against Quest Rogue. It's, people say it's super close, maybe a little bit Miracle Rogue for Veyrat. It's really, can come down to a lot how fast the Miracle Rogue can be, but it's just gonna be a problem, the Taunt Warrior. It's just gonna be a problem. It can win though, it can win.
It can, of course. I mean, it has to have a similar game style, of what we have seen already from StanCifka against the Mage, right? Just to play as many possible minions in the early game and just deal the damage. The weapon is actually pretty crucial because every single of your War Axe is 6 damage to the face.
And your minions are also not so bad in the early game. Like Quest Rogue has probably the worst early game from all the decks. They're only doing their own thing, bouncing a little back.
And the Dirty Rat is so insane.
The Dirty Rat can be a really MVP, yeah. It's not will not be the first time that the Dirty Rat puts out the minion where Zalae will be going for his quest.
The Dirty Rat would be actually amazing to see in that matchup, but first we would need to witness the Miracle
Really
Rogue.
strong hand for Zalae, I feel.
Yeah, I agree. It seems pretty damn strong.
I mean, Firefly isn't a card people consider playing turn 1 over the quest to like be a little faster here and there. So maybe that is something Zalae is considering. Brewmaster, you can maybe think of, yeah, it's in 2 mana, it's not a shadow step, but maybe you just gotta accept it and take it that it's
I feel
a
like
bouncer,
you just need to have bouncers, whatever they cost. Of course, shadow step would have been better.
Yeah, I like the full keep. I like it.
One crucial card in this matchup, I feel like at least, is Vanish, especially with prep. Can get you back onto the board as a quest rogue. And to be honest here, like in this situation, I would consider coining out the dagger, start killing the pirates.
You don't want to go too low in life. It's a really important thing. Your follow-up is really good. I mean, you follow up with quest into Firefly, and then the turn after is going to be the Brewmaster and going again with the Firefly. Normally, a Miracle Rock also doesn't have too much aggressive power in the early game, besides going for a really insane Van Cleave.
Yeah.
And really common rogue play turn 2 is dagger. So if you can get so much initiative already here as a quest rogue, I like it. I think it's a really likely coin dagger here.
Love it. Not many people actually think about it, you know, when about those kind of plays, and especially with Druid, sometimes you just go, instead of a Wild Growth on turn 1, you just go for coin hero power just to kill a minion, especially against other aggro decks. So
Especially quest decks. I mean, so many people are quest turn 1.
True.
This was actually also the worst thing that could happen for Zalae. I think that there will be a 2-drop actually coming there.
The Lasher is actually pretty key for StanCifka. Having it on turn 2 kills practically every drop from Zalae. Otherwise, he would have to spend time with like multiple attacks with the dagger.
The only thing Zalae can be really considering here is I feel I'm getting pressured too much, and then he goes for quest deckhand, or maybe even deckhand Firefly. Otherwise, it has to be the Firefly. Okay. Just not want to take any damage. Kinda can see the point of that. It's being more and more common for the quest rogue to play this early, to just play as defensive as you can. Tower Creeper being a big inclusion of that, but also just not want to take this early damage because you're so busy with your own game plan.
Although those charged minions are so important in those matchups, right? Because you know that your opponent is in the same situation as you. That means they have no taunt minions. Every single charger after the quest being done is just such a huge chunk of the rogue.
It's actually interesting that we said like, hey, Zalae, please keep this starting end, and he didn't play a single card besides the quest yet from the starting end. But Brewmasters are the cards he will still be always looking for, so Brewmasters are not the ones he's gonna regret. And he just tried to be super counteractive into what Cifka did. And Cifka just continuing the minion curve here and making the spells only better in the late game. He's probably looking for aggressive minion plays and trying to get the eviscerates in the late game that he might need as finishers.
This is a very awkward turn. There are few things that you can do.
Yeah, it's well...
You need to sacrifice the Igneous Elemental. And then most likely, what I would like to see is
dagger.
Trade with the dagger, but with the agent. Because your opponent might actually... We know that Cifka is actually playing a low curve Miracle Rogue. So if you get to kill the Sharazin and it gets resurrected, That's really a big blow.
I will probably just play all the 3 elementals here.
And he gives the Sharzan. Interesting.
I will just play all the elementals maybe.
Yeah, I like it as well. Like going
Maybe
wide here.
There might be
actually
some.
superb.
Yeah, it's
Like StanCifka would have to kill every single minion on the board to cut off for Zalae the option to not
I mean,
finish the quest.
there is Telnos Fan of Knives, but it's like the punishment of this. It's kind of a big punishment. It will really wreck Zalae.
Is there Felnos in the deck?
I'm not sure. I know he's playing double Fan of Knives, so it is. And I mean, Telnos is a really strong card too. So yeah, there is a Telnos. There is Telnos double Fan. So that
That could have been punished, yeah.
So they took a big risk here. I mean, if there isn't Telnos Fan there, wow.
But look at that, Sun will actually be able to push for that Shadows in Resurrection.
Yeah, and it gets not gonna be the sprint. Definitely gonna be the pirate or the. I was even thinking of
the Shadow Step.
Yeah, because it's not too bad on his side, but you wanna connect the Coldblood. Ooh, that's so good. That can be so good once
After
the quest.
yeah. After the quest, that's actually quite insane.
Well, 2 mana kill, 2 5/5s.
And it can actually happen to 2 taunt minions. Because
my God.
with the way the hunters are being played, if 2 of the hunters will get played, the taunt minions will not be next to each other, so you can betrayal both of them.
Oh wow. Well, first Zalae is having to deal with this board. I mean, it's cool to have all the being so close to the quest. He's at 11 lives and needs to respect the board, and he's not able to do the quest yet.
Yeah. This is why I kind of dislike the trade with the Sharazan instead of the Agent Listen, you know? Like...
Because of this.
Yeah, because of this. It just gives more gas, more possible gas for StanCifka. Because we know that the game plan from Stan is just to be faster than the Rogue. So how do you want to be faster? You just play as many cards as possible. That comes hand in hand with how Sharazan wants to have the synergy.
I also think it's really, especially the version of StanCifka, it's not running giants. It's like so early game focused. It's been made to beat aggro, so he's playing every low drop, and now he has to pay so hard for it. Like, oh my god!
Wait.
Whoa!
This actually
makes no quest possible.
This actually makes exactly the quest obsolete for now, unless another Ignis Elemental
or Firefly
will get drawn.
But Ignorance is also going to be super slow. I mean, it's 3 mana. It needs to die
so
first.
Weird.
Yeah, it's. But
that's so weird.
Maybe here it had to happen. Otherwise, he took 4 more, so it will be at 6 now. And then there will just be in Firefly surviving. That was all. It will just be in one. Or like an elemental of a 1/1 surviving that will trade away. So after the last turn, what happened there, and that Cifka was indeed, he called just resurrect the Sharazan. Really hard paid Cifka the game actually, I think. First actually also weak turn, like Cifka has been out putting a lot of pressure though to Zalae.
And now Zalae has actually no way of just dealing with
those.
those.
Yeah, now it's like he's actually switching the quest to the engineer probably, but now now it's too late.
He missed his window of opportunity to actually finish up the quest and take advantage of those bigger minions. So well played by Cifka, in my opinion. That small decision of killing Sharazan instead of the agent actually just meant more damage to the face for Zalae and more things to worry about in the upcoming turn.
Yeah, he might have taken a risk there. Maybe he considered his spot already being pretty bad there and just needing to do something, but it was likely he will trade away it with the board, the minion that will survive there the next turn to not take the damage anymore. Especially after going so early with the deckhand. And, well, Cifka just knowing how to play against Quest Rogue. There's one big weakness against Quest Rogue. Quest Rogue has 30 damage, or 30 lives. It has one of the weakest early games in the game.
Yep.
So let's pressure that life. And Valera also likes to take some damage here and there with the dagger. And then it can go really, really fast.
Now we can see also some old school shenanigans,
Oh,
and
there
there's
we
the
go.
cold blood.
So Cifka taking it, going to 3-3, and that's gonna be... We're gonna see the best of 7 here. The final game, it's gonna go down to what is gonna take series here and what's gonna advance or not.
And it comes down to the Taunt Warrior against Quest Rogue. And
Yeah,
it's you know, it's so funny that we have seen we'll see the Quest Rogue for 3 games, and every single time his opponent has to make the same game plan for very different decks. Like,
it's a general game plan against
Yes.
Quest Rogue. You're not winning that late game, not winning against
this is
these
why people
5/5s.
kind of complain about Quest Rogue in general, right? Because it makes it like it's not so interactive when it comes to the way you play the game.
Yeah.
It's very one style focused, but at the same time, it's not easy to play the Quest Rogue, which is why most people lose actually with it, because they make small mistakes that snowball and make them lose the game. But at the same time, people who know how to play against that Quest Rogue can punish that playstyle.
I also don't think Quest Rogue is like broken or anything. It's definitely...
It's just a good deck that has high skill ceiling, but it can have like kind of broken draws with double shadow steps and stuff like that.
It can have... Miracle Rogue can have these draws too, to be honest.
Yeah,
like,
but Druid can have those as well. Double interface
it's
and
just the playstyle against it is just not fun, and you have so matchups. You feel so desperate at when you're facing Quest Rogue.
I mean, the deck can combine 2 frustrations that you see in other decks, like inability to interact with minions because of the Glacier Shard, which is like a freeze mage, right? And charge minions.
Yes.
So it's like 2 in 1, because you play against a freeze mage and a pirate warrior.
Well, and here we go, deciding game for Cifka and Zalae, and
that's the Dirty Rat.
It's kind of an alright hand for Zalae, I have to say. Ignorance Elemental, great card in this matchup. Mimic Pot, you don't mind it. Shadow Step, also great.
Yep.
So Zalae's hand...
And maybe the Dirty Rat will pull the Ignis Elemental.
Well, it's not gonna be played next turn, alright?
You think so? Because I would actually like it.
Wow, that's really fast, man.
Although you usually want to have already a minion on board that can deal with that minion that's gonna get pulled by the Dirty Rat.
Yeah, I just feel you give him the mana adaptation. Maybe if you want to go fast, you go Storming Defender here.
Here we go, there's the Dirty
He
Rat.
likes it.
And it pulls out the ball from
Oh
Hunt.
man. Zalae is like, come on. I had this other guy in my hand too, you know?
No. And he needs to commit to the Ignis Elemental here. At least I think so.
Yeah, it's great. I mean, it's...
You have already Firefly in your hand. The Shadow Step, that means you will have
Elemental's
4
really good
elementals, right? But it needs to die. And that means you need to play it as soon as possible, because it's gonna trade in and makes your opponent's ghoul lethal for that Ignis Elemental.
But Zalae will finish the quest really early this game. By playing Ignorance Elemental, he will be able to play at turn 5 the Elementals, and at turn 6 there will already be the question not just of the quest, but also the quest hitting the board. With following up by Firefly or some Elementals, Zalae should be making it able to make it happen turn 6 to get already some of the Elementals going, and that might be 1 or 2 turns too early. That's really on the early part for the warrior to deal with it.
Yep.
It's normally too early if the rogue is going first and they hit the quest at their turn 5, 6.
And we go turn 3 Ignis Elemental.
I will maybe trade it here, the 2-1.
Yeah. Dark Reaper. Well, fortunately for StanCifka, he's actually getting in line with his game plan. He has cheap taunt minions, which can be helpful, because if the rogue doesn't get the quest done really fast, you might be able to finish your quest really fast and then go into the plan of just damage to the face. But it's really kind of looking bleak when your opponent can just go for
Oh my god, they are
bounces.
so... Tarlot actually one of the only minions that is not too bad against the quests, because he has 5 attack.
I like it. It's better than this. Than
And
the
it has
Soga
11
Slither.
HP. 11
Yeah.
is a really awkward number.
That means that your opponent needs to sacrifice 2 minions and the dagger, which is 5 HP, which is fine if you consider it, like consider this minion for 7 mana. For what would it do?
It's
right?
I remember the times where Tarlord was just one of the minions also being played like in the deck.
Yeah.
It's,
Oh my god, that's the worst possible thing. Sorry for interrupting me, but mimic potting into mimic potting is one of the worst things that you can do. It's so much tempo loss.
yeah, it's also people are actually already like, yeah, Mimic Pot, do I want to play it? But you kind of want to play it because you have preps and you otherwise feel it's too low. But this is sometimes why people play one-off in the Mimic Pots.
Yeah. The one thing probably worse, I mean not every single time worse, but sometimes worse, is mimic potting a vanish. Because it's so expensive as well. Although I would have to say that I thought that it's so horrible to mimic pot into vanish, because I had a game in the wild when I mimic pot, and then the mimic pot vanish. So I had literally 3 vanishes and 3 mimic pots, but turns out the vanish did allow me to finish a quest with a target dummy. Because
Oh
it
my
offers
god,
0
well,
mana.
we're not having target dummies here
Yes,
though.
exactly. So here it's not that important, but it is actually really bad to mimic pot and maybe a vanish.
Well, Cifka, just like the first game, he just ignores the elemental, straight up the ignorance, so no elementals for Zalae in the hand to make it cheaper, needs to get an additional turn, and well, Zalae is not really able to, well, he can now spend 3 mana, so turn 6 will still be the turn where the quest can get finished.
But when you think about it, it's 29 HP on the rogue still. It's turn 5 and he's almost not damaged at all.
Yeah, but that's the problem for the warrior. I mean, they are not doing much early damage. It has to be like a Bluetooth Brave that can connect for 5 or something, but all the minions are having so low attack. And there we go. Quest is gonna be finished here. I think at least, and probably gonna see a re-dagger. I would say you don't want to play the deckhand. It's great with the quest next turn. You can consider the Billy Fin, but it's one of the stronger.
It's such a strong play.
It's so
after the
much
quest as
better.
well.
So I think Cifka is fine here, or Zalae is just fine, just attacking. It's a good attack. Let's just re-dagger.
I like it as well. And you know that if you play... Wow.
There's a lot of punishment in this play too. It's not just,
Holy moly.
but it's also like just a wind effect, and I don't like this. I really don't like this.
I mean, you play into a
Ghoul,
ghoul, you
wind.
play into the whirlwind ghoul, you play into sleep with the fishes with any other effect.
Yeah, but every minion, like, it's normal. It's 10/10 instead. You're now. Maybe he's thinking like I give more room to my 1/2s that are like getting, but they are already a little awkward to trade with.
I don't know, man. It wouldn't be natural for me to make this play like, you know, instinctively. I would just not do it because it feels like you're
Like
undervaluing your own minions.
Seeing the hands, it might actually be paying off, but I still don't like it. Like Cifka's probably gonna slam one of the 1/2s. I mean, you're not slamming a 1/2 here, you're slamming a 5/5.
Yeah.
So
That's somehow better. But unfortunately for Cifka, the way of playing the game changed now. What he can do to win it is just by doing the quest.
yeah.
There's no other way he can outvalue those minions. Unless turn 9 will allow him to play Primordial Drake into Sleep with the Fishes.
Yeah, Tarlord can maybe slow a little things down, but yeah, I like the dagger attack here because it's just so much additional face damage, and Warrior already going to 19 now.
19 and it's turn 6, so he would have to use the coin for the Tarlord if he wants to play the Tarlord. But now when he draws the Sleep of the Fishes, I think he needs to keep that coin for the turn 9 Primordial Drake and Sleep
You're
of the
thinking of
Fishes.
turn 9 here. I'm thinking of not dying now, man. I
Yeah,
mean,
but like your opponent...
I actually want to attack Sleep with the Fishes, Blood of Brave here, maybe. And then go into Tarlord. Or coin Tarlord here. I'm just feeling too much pressure.
Phew. I don't know, man. I like the Primordial Drake Sleep with the Fishes because that's like
I
the
like
win
it
condition.
too. I like it too, but
And you might be able to survive the attacks because of the fact that the opponent needs to sacrifice at least one minion attack into the Bloodhoof Brave. The same goes for the Dark Reaper. So you can still gain 2 life this turn with the Bloodhoof Brave. Next turn you play the Tarlord that gets 2 minions attack into it and the dagger attack.
so slow. I want to see Tarlord here, man.
Alright. Stan goes for the Tarlord.
So much draw.
Maybe port, right? No. First the Novice Engineer. By the way, can you imagine that Novice Engineer would be a 1-2?
I mean, yeah, I know it has been so.
Yeah, but in this situation, like this would make the deck so much better. By the way, if you would go for the Mimic Pot first, you would Mimic Pot the Vanish.
He's just looking for minions here and actually not really getting it here. Needs to sacrifice both. Tarlord being really a great pickup from Stonehill the Vendor just at turn 3 there. Where he's now able to, I mean, it's trading 2 minions, forcing Zalae to hero power into it. I mean, Zalae can also just not trade into it this turn. I mean, it's going to be a 1-11 on StanCifka's turn with 1 attack. He's not able to do anything with it. So maybe you just want to like Mimic Pot here, see what you get.
Okay,
well, a little much finish, huh? A little much finish.
I think I kind of cursed him, you know? I feel like I exactly said what's gonna happen and I cursed Zalae, and I'm really sad because I did the same to him in the group stage. That's so horrible.
You're so bad for him, man.
That's
You're for Europe, eh? You are here like rooting for Europe. I feel it.
I feel like so, but
oh man! And now
moly.
actually because of the Tarlord not just slowing the game down by trading in, no, it actually didn't trade away directly, and it's gonna give an additional turn maybe for Cifka because he's able to set up more taunts. Tradings are just awkward, so maybe he gets in that turn where Zalae has to commit, and then maybe a brawl or a great fishes can do it.
This is the turn when you vanish. You attack into the Dark Reaper, you attack into the Bloodhoof Brave, you take the 2 damage actually, because you sacrifice a minion.
Okay,
and then you vanish.
Yeah,
then you vanish, you bounce the Dark Reaper back, and you replay the Novice Engineer.
Yeah, you always want to like get the patches back. That's so great.
Okay, interesting. He doesn't want to take damage at all, which I also understand. And what he does here is place 2 minions, and actually that's way better than just playing Novice Engineer. I like this way more. That's way smarter than what I did.
I will just maybe attack here because you put him at 8, and if he armors up, maybe 10 does it.
Well, if he armors up, it doesn't really matter if one attack goes through or not, right? And you know that your hand is kind of expensive, which is kind of silly when you play Quest Stroke, so you might not have time to re-dagger. So I like it.
So what does Cifka know here? Not much. He just saw back the minions that got played. Oh man, you're such in a bad spot for the warrior. Like the perspective of seeing Zalae's hand maybe gives a little hopes to the warrior, but normally at this point you're so in a rough spot.
And now what Zalae can do is play Vanish again. If he gets prepped, that's lethal. If he gets Shadow Steps, that's lethal. That's unfortunately not lethal. But next turn he is lethal basically. With this, because of the Vanish.
But do you vanish? Yeah, he's vanishing it.
This is what the game gave you, and you need to take advantage
of it.
And
that's great. I mean, you can just Google with the patches, bounce it back. Patches just super MVP this game. It just keeps.
Yeah.
But you feel Patches painful when it deals 1 damage. Well, here it already did 15 or.
Yeah, and to be honest, I like the bounce here because if you play the Flame Elemental, you kind of do the same because the patches would have been played next turn. But if you get to bounce the patches, at least you guarantee yourself that you will have a charge minion because it won't die.
Well, it's getting close. Like there is a really good turn that you also mentioned earlier with the Drake and Sleep with the Fishes.
But that's next turn.
But isn't guaranteed clear. So if Cifka can make it happen to survive this turn, turn 10 is going to be guaranteed board clear.
He knows that his opponent has this third vanish. Because he has seen the Mimic pod.
Yeah, that's
So he knows the vanish is happening. And that means...
Or well, not if he played just the 2 normal ones, I mean. And then the third one he
But
drew.
if he pays attention to which cards are being drawn by the Mimic pod, then he should know which one was Mimic pod.
Well, one is drawn neutrally. Like this can be the one that just got drawn neutrally.
Yeah, but he played 2. And when he mimics first, right, then he knows which one are which. And, well, that's GG.
Yeah, well, there were already no outs anymore for Cifka. From what we knew, all the vanishes. Dreams got vanished for Cifka, but no, not for Zalae. That takes the series 4-3 here.
With 3 vanishes being played in one game, and to be fair, this is the second time I see a Mimic pod vanish. One was my game, and second one was Zalae, and they were actually winning the game. Interesting enough, it's like a very expensive sap. In this case, congrats to Zalae. He goes through the group, and that's, first of all, it was a very tough day for those players. Very long days. Best of 7 every single time. StanCifka during the first game against Zalae did actually take it 4-0. So crushing defeat for Zalae. He had to get back to on his feet, get that morale back, right? And I think like that was one of the most like intensive games that we had like for a very long time in tournaments.
Yeah, and also here just at the end, it's great to see Zalae going all the way from getting all the way here from America and now still taking it. I definitely think also against Cifka, he just had a great matchup that he couldn't show off before, but now showing it off. Got a little tricky with the Quest Rogue. I mean, definitely got a little tricky there at the end. But yeah, with that Warrior matchup, he knew and we knew there was still a really great matchup left.
He was very favored in that matchup, although he maybe had a chance to win against the Rogue, against the Miracle Rogue, with some different maybe decisions, but still, even if he doesn't manage to do that, there's still an option to win against the Quest Warrior because it's so slow. It doesn't, like, historically speaking, the Quest Rogue is just let's say feeding on those control decks or mid-range decks, right?
Yeah, and for Cifka, I mean, he kind of prepared for this tournament, looking a little bit at what was played for StarLadder. Sadly, didn't work out for him. I mean, he was really focused on the aggro. Would have maybe a little bit better shot in the other group, but here now in this group, his anti-aggressive lineup just didn't pay out. And but what hurted him the most was actually the Taunt Warrior in all the series, where Taunt Warrior was the deck that he just couldn't get away with against all these control lineups.
Interesting to see, because that's one of the most powerful decks, right? In
one of the most targetable decks too, I think.
All right, this sums up the day 1, but don't go anywhere because we'll still have the winners interview with Richard and Zalae, and I feel like they have some interesting stuff going on the blackboard. So now let's jump to Richard and let's see what he has to say.
Thank you so much. Yeah, we have plenty to talk about. We'll get to this board in just a second, but right now we are standing with one of the guys who's going to be progressing into that final bracket in just 2 short days. And man, did you do it in impressive fashion, Zalae. But before we go into the actual matchup and the games that were played, I want to talk about just the fact that we're probably 2 of the most jet-lagged guys here. There was a moment when I was sitting next to you, like during warm-up, it was one of the few times you actually had off today because you were playing through that giant grueling bracket. And I closed my eyes for a second, and then I looked over to you, and you were kind of doing the same thing. Just how mentally exhausting was it for you today after coming off of the plane and also just having to play so many series?
You know, I think I did a good job of preparing myself in terms of sleeping as much as I could. Like, I stayed up late last night, and I slept in until 2 p.m. local time, which is like 3 hours before the match started. I got a lot of sleep. So I'm still like a little bit jet-lagged. I was tired at times, like you said. I was kind of nodding off, but that was between matches. When I'm actually playing Hearthstone, it wakes me up, it focuses me, it really helps.
Yeah, well, now tomorrow, we're, of course, going to be switching to the other group, so we're going to be looking at a whole new lineup of players, so you get a day off. What are you actually going to do with that day off? Are you going to be able to go around to see Ukraine, or are you just going to be watching all the matches to make sure you're ready for the finals?
Watching the matches and getting ready for the finals, absolutely.
And I think that's definitely the right answer, and I'm excited to see what you can do. But let's talk about how you actually managed to get to that final day. And it really came down to the last game there against the guy who knocked you down to the lower bracket. What was that experience like?
Yeah, it was a little bit. I was a little bit nervous for sure. I did not want to play against StanCifka at all after I had seen decks revealed, right? Like going into it, I felt like StanCifka was the least likely guy in the group to bring aggressive decks, and I brought a strategy that was really weak to aggressive stuff and strong against everything else because that was the meta I expected. And Cifka turned out to be the most aggressive guy in the group, and I played him first, which meant I had a chance to play him again, and I did, and all of that sucked. But he brought a Quest Warrior, and my lineup's great against that deck, so I got swept in the first match against him because it happened to win game 1 against me, but in the second set against him, his Quest Warrior never got a win, and that's really my lineup's strategy against Cifka. Never let that Quest Warrior win a game.
Yeah, so I know there are some people, we can see them on the board like Snowkiss, right? And bringing an incredibly aggressive lineup. So if we see someone like Snowkiss progressed through, it would be relatively difficult for you. But how do you feel overall with the field of the players that could potentially progress? Do you still feel very well situated?
I feel great. I feel like I'm in a dominant position here, especially if Snowkiss doesn't advance. If she does advance, I'm going to need somebody to knock her out for me because that's just not a matchup I'm going to win almost ever. But everyone else, I'm like, oh yeah, let's go.
So even after that absolute roller coaster to get there, you feel like you're in a pretty good position, and I'm really excited for you. But now it's time that we take a look at this board behind us. We were chatting about it a little bit before we actually jumped in here, and you had no idea that this was going on. But basically, we've had a game with all of the pro players. They started out with 7 chips, and they could place them during each matchup on one of the players. So basically, you're putting one of your chips up, and then you get, I believe you get basically coins based off of how many coins were on the player that the other player. So, you know, basically simple spread, like 50-50 spread. As we can see, Snowkiss pulled up in the front here, predicting the best, has 12 coins, started with just those 7, and then after that we have RDU, and everything at the 7 mark, that means people broke even. Here, people actually lost coins. And if you haven't been paying attention throughout the entire thing, some of these names we haven't actually seen play yet. That's because they're in the second group of play, and they're going to be playing tomorrow to try to qualify for that bracket that Zalae and PF have qualified for. So we should take a look at that bracket right now, and also for the schedule that's going to be coming up tomorrow. It, of course, is going to be at the same time and the same place. But give you the rundown right now. As you can see, we're going to start off with RDU and Snowkiss, and that's going to be an awesome matchup. RDU seems to be very well situated with the decks that he has, but as we've already alluded to when we were talking to Zalae, Snowkiss has some of the fastest decks here, bringing that aggro lineup. After that, we're going to watch a series between Nyria and Fu Oliver, and that one is going to be very important to the entire pace of the tournament. After that, we're going to be deciding everything because it's a double elimination bracket. We're going to go down to that lower bracket and actually eliminate our players and ultimately settle on the top 4, which will be played out on Sunday. But keep an eye on Snowkiss. That aggressive lineup could be the tempo setter for the rest of the show. Now, as we said, it's going to be going down the same time and the same place tomorrow, so be sure to tune in to see who qualifies from Group B. Want to thank you all so much for coming along, and I will see you tomorrow.